Hey everyone, it is Ellen Jody here, your PLC lead for high school dance on the Godot Communities website. We are back for another webinar. I don't know, I'm sure you've probably had spring break already, but I hope you got a lot of rest. I know it was much needed for all of us. And to start getting ready for that home stretch of the 6 weeks. We're at the 6-week mark. I can't believe it. It's just been so fast. So I hope your show prep is going good, or if you've already had your spring show, I hope it went well and was a success. My show's coming up the second weekend of May, so we're in that push now. So for this webinar, I thought it would be helpful to talk about things that might happen outside the actual day or the actual classroom, because most of our departments are fairly active in that way. So for this webinar, I will discuss auditions. So talking about, do you audition for placement in your classes? Then I will, second segment will be dance team, and then, which is now a varsity sport in Georgia. And then finally, we can talk about, on the third segment, we'll talk about taking your dancers to events and festivals and, field trips and all that kind of stuff. So that's this webinar. So let's get started. Talking about auditions. So I am lucky enough to audition for placement in my classes. I have 5 classes per day, and so they're different levels. As of right now, I have an intro class, I have an intermediate 1, an intermediate 2, and an advanced class, and then actually I have a partner class that I do. We use the Dance for Theater standard, but that is changing next year. So I'll have 2 advanced. It looks like I might have 2 advanced, 2 intro, and 1 intermediate. So it'll be an interesting year, but my classes for next year are packed. I'm like, it's a good thing. It's a good job security thing, so I'm good with that. But anyway, so we're lucky to be able to audition for each of my classes. So pre-pandemic, it was just a general audition for the dance department. You want to take dance next year, then you would come to the school. I would do high school first and then middle school second, the rising 9th graders. And then I would, hand in the list to the office and say, here is which kid goes into my whichever class. So I would do it right after school for the high school kids and then at 4:30 to 6 for the middle school kids. Generally, I would have a lot more middle school kids than high school kids because I don't make my existing dance kids audition for the next year. I tell them all the time, you audition for me every day. So I don't need to see you in an extra special time after school. So pre-pandemic, as I said, I would generally have about 60 students audition. Not as many high school students, but a lot of middle schoolers coming up. And I'd have 60 audition, and I would have roughly 30 spots. That's give or take. And a lot of that is because my stage is so old and small, I can't hold a lot of people. So my school is really good about cutting me off, letting me have that cap on my classes, and they don't dump kids in my classes, and I know I'm extremely lucky. So looking at breaking, if I have 60 kids audition and I have 30 spots, then I'm looking at breaking 30 kids' hearts, which has been hard, but it's the nature of the business. And then generally speaking, if someone would audition the next year, I would make sure to make space for them. Because, if you want to dance, I want to have dance. I want you to have dance. So then pandemic hit. And so when it became clear that we would drag on for the pandemic, 3 years in a row, the recruitment got really wonky and then my numbers got a lot lower, especially for this year. It was a little unnerving this year to have these few numbers in my classes. And then with, the kids doing poorly in their core classes because of all the online, then they have to take all these makeup core classes and they don't have room for electives. So that was a big part of it too. It was the disconnect from the digital realm of reaching the kids, and then also them not having room in their schedules because they have to take, other classes again. So I always say this is a fight. Maybe it would be great to have this fight, to have to have dance count as a PE credit. Wouldn't that be fabulous? But I guess that's a whole other, can of worms. But anyway, So I did get to do an audition for March 2020, right before we got sent home, or it might have been the very end of February that I got to audition. But then I had a bunch drop for that next year because of needing to take core classes. So then next year, so that would have been the kids auditioning for this year. I did a digital. I was like, just go ahead and send in a video, and that was kind of interesting. And I didn't really specify what type of dance. I just said, send me one video of 30 seconds to a minute of you introducing yourself and why you want to take dance, and then the other one was show me dance. What do you do best? And I didn't specify anything. I did get a TikTok video, but you know what? I didn't specify, so there you go. So then it's hard to tell on video. And so my classes this year got all wonky because I wasn't able to place kids. It was just hard to place kids. So anyway, this year I did have an audition, which I was unhappy about the turnout, but I ended up opening up my intro classes. I've never done this before. So the kids were just able to sign up. So they didn't need my permission. They didn't need anything. They were just signing up. And so, oh, wow. And did they sign up? So, I was just in the curriculum office right now. So they want dance, So I'm sure that you guys have lots of kids who want to take dance too. So I'm hoping that next year your classes and my classes are looking a bit more normal than what they have been the last 3 years. So, but yeah, so I'm excited to have all the new students in dance. So it'll be sort of like a grand turnover for me here at Brookwood. So anyway, that's my story with the auditioning. Sorry, didn't mean to move that. So the audition procedure, in the midst of my evolution as a teacher, I'm really sort of changing the way I level kids in my class. I'm trying to decentralize technique a little bit. And what I mean by that is I've been judging and leveling kids in my classes by, how much technique they have, ballet, modern, jazz. And so I'm really questioning that. As I have a ton of kids who come in and they can just move like crazy. They can do hip hop. I've got a ton of Bollywood dancers, kids who do African dance. So I'm really looking at that and how I level the kids. So it's going to be a pretty grand experiment for next year. I have figured out who's going in what class, and I did not base it on technique. My advanced, yes, those girls are going to stay advanced. It's just that little core group that I have right now. But the rest of them, during my audition, I was like, what you got? You got African, you got Bollywood. Show me what you can do. And so I guess I just sort of looked at the way they moved. And then, as any good teacher does, we'll just go in there and, do what's best for the students that are in front of you, So anyway, that's sort of my evolution of auditioning and leveling kids in class. And I also, during the audition, I'll invite another teacher from another dance program, or I do have a teacher in my building. We're good friends who is a gymnastics judge, national level gymnastics judge. So I like to bring him in sometimes because he can help see, different potential, and he can just see different things. So I did write a rubric to try to get away from the whole technique thing that I was talking about. So, and I think I can drop that in the discussions, or so you can have the rubric. I will drop that in probably to the document section. But the 6 criteria that I have, again, trying to decentralize that focus on technique, is engagement and commitment to the movement, body awareness and control, stamina, flexibility, and coordination, expressive skills and rhythm. Then I have memorization, excuse me, and I have improvisation skills. So those are the 6 criteria. And then, of course, I have 4 scores. I've just used the exemplary, proficient, developing, and the needs improvement. So that's about what my rubric looks like. What criteria do you use? Do you get to audition any of your classes? I know that some of the other schools here in Gwinnett don't get to audition every single class, but they get to audition like their advanced class or maybe their top 2 levels. So I would love to hear how you do that, if that's a thing. Do you use another teacher, or is it just you making the decisions? I know we're not dance studios and we are public education, but I'm wondering if anybody has had like a story about an unhappy dance mom who is unhappy about where her child's placement is. How do you handle that in public education? I dealt with that a lot when I was in the private studios, but it is different here in public ed. So just be interesting to see how you handle all that. So that's it for auditions. Next up for segment 2 is dance team. So I will get to that in the next video, and let's get a discussion started. Would love to hear how you do your auditions. All right, thanks.